Look at me. Look at me. I'm the mayor now. We have that meme has come to life, and we'll get into that story. That is the top story of the day. Welcome. If you're new to the program, we do this every day. I go over the top 5 news stories of the day, and today is Sunday, July 20th. We're in the middle of a heat wave. It's hot and muggy, but we got this broadcast coming out to you. If you like it, be sure to like and subscribe, send it to your friends. Love to grow the channel. All right, we'll get into the first news story, and it's our favorite Somali pirate. Here it is. Breaking: Socialist Omar Fateh wins the Democrat endorsement over incumbent Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. And Jacob Frey is that cuck. Remember when George Floyd died in Minnesota? He was like, oh, God, how can this be? They had a gold plated coffin, and he was bawling his eyes out. It was just a little bitch because, George Floyd, a thug. It had an arrest record a mile long, robbed women, fentanyl, the whole bit, and he collapsed. No, there couldn't be anything more horrible than this, right? He kissed their ass in Minnesota 24/7, and it didn't matter. Let this be a lesson to you. It didn't matter. The Somalis that are in Minneapolis, that should be like, how the hell did the Somalis get into Minneapolis of all places, right? They were in East Africa in some desert shithole, and all of a sudden, they've all transported to Minneapolis, what was one of the whitest countries, cities in America. And they swarmed in there, and they got the critical mass, and they voted one of their own, Omar Fateh. I don't know if he's a socialist. Economic terms don't really apply to these people. They're very tribal. I mean, what are you trying to say? Be like you go in the jungles in Africa, find some tribe where they're, and you're like, what's your economic policy? Is that libertarian? Or is that socialist? Or is it Jeffersonian republic? Meanwhile, they stab you and eat you. Yeah, what kind of economic system is that? I don't know. I don't know if you could say it's really an economic system, except hate white people. I guess that's his system. And he does hate white people. He said the biggest threat to America are white people. That's what Omar said. And so his people voted for him because they're his people. And Omar recently, he was talking to his people, and we don't mean white people, we mean his Somali people in Minnesota. And he referred to, we got to stick together with our people back home. Like back home, what's home? Minneapolis? No, Somalia. So this has to change. There's going to have to be radical changes, not only in the United States, but in Europe. People are going to have to go back to their home countries. I don't care about citizenship status. We need to punish the people in the organizations that somehow thought it was a good idea to bring them in. And they knew it wouldn't be a good idea for our welfare. We never had a vote about it, right? Did the people in Minnesota, did they ever have an election? Hey, let's replace our people with a bunch of Somalis. Remember, like Black Hawk Down, the pirates. Yeah, those are the people we want in our neighborhoods. No, there was never a vote. Certain organizations brought them in, and those people need to be punished. And in the future, we got to be aware, never allow them to have power again, and they need to be punished. But this is where we are. And it brings a lie to the whole, they just care about economic policies and they don't care about ethnicity. Of course they do. Of course they do. Every group cares about ethnicity except for whites. We're not allowed to care about ethnicity because that's racist. But every other group can do that, and that's perfectly fine. In fact, it's celebrated. So it looks like Omar, he will be the mayor because Minneapolis is a Democrat town. So we will have him there. And then that one weirdo in New York City, the gay race communist. So this is the future. This is what happens when you have wide open immigration. And you're not going to fix this with midnight basketball, education. There's not going to be assimilation. What do you talk about assimilation? We are the mayor now. We are control now. Not you. This is our country now. This is the situation. And even though if you have a smile like this, Jacob Frey, it looks like he was part of Mad Magazine. Remember that? Alfred E. Newman, he has that type of goofy look. It didn't help. It didn't help. They still didn't support him. They supported one of their own. Surprise, surprise. So that was the number one story of today. All right, number two story, very, very sad situation. It's like, oh, how could this happen? All right. This has to do with the ADL CEO, Jonathan Greenblatt. And the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, they're an organization that promotes Jewish interest. And because that's okay to do. You can't have one that promotes white interests. That'd be racist, but they can promote their interests. And so he tries to attack anyone that attacks any of his people or suggests that they don't have a right to homeland. Meanwhile, we don't have a right to homeland. That's their official position. But he says nearly 50% of the world has intense anti-Semitic views, just not regular anti-Semitic, but intense. I don't know how he came up with this number, but holy goodness. Wouldn't you want to kind of have some self-reflection here? Some self-reflection? If over half the world or nearly half the world has intense hatred of you, you would think, well, why is this? Is it something maybe we've done? No, that can't be it. No, the problem's with them. They hate us because we're so loving and nice. That must be the reason. I don't know. I guess that's the official position, is because they're so wonderful and nice for no reason whatsoever. People don't like them. That is the official position. And if you disagree with that in Europe, you go to prison. In America, you get deplatformed. So there we are. And I guess they need more money to Israel. And oh, by the way, we need to take the Muslims that they're ethnically cleansing because they can't have them in their ethno state. But we got to take them because we don't want to be Nazis. So that's the official position. So the ADL came out with that shocker report. And I get it. It's because they're too good of people. People are just jealous of how wonderful they are. All right. Another story that came up. This was sort of. Let me just show you here real quick here. Get my producer to bring it up. Come on, producer, bring it up. I'll have to get myself a new producer. Oh, I am the producer. All right, here we go. And I'm not going to show this because the quality's bad. But what this is in Illinois, they made it a law. This is just crazy. That if a house is vacant, you can just break into it and live in it for free and trash it, and the police won't kick you out, right? So this is a story here. But the twist on this is this happened to a guy that was a neighbor, Democrat Illinois Representative Marcus Evans, and yes, he's black, is upset because the squatter moved into his next to his family's house. And he voted for that. This is restorative justice. We got to do this. These poor people, they just want a place to live. Because usually I thought, what the hell, you break into someone's house, at least down here in the South, you could probably get shot, right? I'm not joking. But I guess in Illinois, if the house is vacant, you can just break into it and live there rent free. And if you call the police and say, hey, someone broke in my house, get them out. They're like, oh, well, no, we can't get them out because, they live there now. It's like, what? Well, you could go through court. And that cost you thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, and up to a year. And maybe you can evict them then after a year. But meanwhile, they get to live in your house free for a year. You can't sell your house. You can't rent your house. And hey, if they happen to trash your house, good luck collecting damages. Sorry to be you. So that's the way it is in Illinois because they think this is a good thing. This is a good thing. It may change, though, because all the people that were the victims of this were either black or Hispanic. And they're like, what the hell? I have a house we're putting up to sell. We're moving. We moved out of the house, put it up for sale. We got our new place. And these bums break in and they're living there and the police won't get them out. And this is what the people voted for in Illinois. They think, oh, this is compassionate. It is crazy. So that's the number 3 story, squatters taking over homes in Illinois. And it's just not Illinois. There's a lot of states that this is the case. Not here in Arkansas. Not here in Arkansas. You don't break in people's homes in Arkansas and expect a good outcome. But I guess in Illinois, what the hell? Why not? Why not? I don't know why more people do it. Just break into people's homes, find an empty home, break into it. It's yours now, at least for a year. You don't have to pay rent. They can't do anything. So what a crazy. This is an example of Democrat policies, progressivism, insane. All right. The number 4 story today is has to do with Britain. I always like to go over Britain. They always have wacky shit going on there. You remember they decided to bring in 40,000 Afghans because, hey, why not? I mean, there's nothing like bringing in people that have bocce, child bribes, Allah Akbar. Let's bring them in, 40,000. And it was done secretly. In fact, the courts told the media they couldn't even discuss this. Billions of dollars, while the UK's become a third world nation, right? It used to be a very prosperous nation. Now they're just destroying their country. And if you object, you go to prison, right? So they're bringing all these people, giving them a free house. And if you complain, you go to prison. This is the system they have in Britain. They said 40,000, but it's more than 40,000 because of all the people, all their offspring, they bring them all too. So we're looking, the Afghan soldiers have brought in an average of 8 relatives with them, meaning this is actually about 200,000 Afghan migrants, and they're all their kids who are all going to vote now when they're 16, are pouring in. So, what the story we started with, what happened in Minneapolis, that is happening to Britain. The British people are losing their homeland. And don't you complain about it. That would be xenophobic and racist. So that is what is happening there. And the number 5 story, I would have to say, is they're talking about the food stamp cuts. And what they're doing with that is there's a bill that says if you're able-bodied adult without dependents, if you're between the ages of 18 and 64, you have to go to work in order to get food stamps. And I don't know what you do if you can't get work. But this is really, there's a couple of things I don't like about it. It's targeted against men because if you're a welfare mother, pops out babies, you still get your food stamps. And all these illegitimate children, women almost always get them. Men don't get custody. So this is targeted mostly against men. I'm not a big fan of that. And the second thing I'm not a big fan of this really is, okay, I'm for reform. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I want a safety net. I don't want anyone to go hungry. I would have basic shelter and food for people. I should one day propose my ideal society. But I'm not against necessarily welfare, but it's got to be smart. And I don't think in all these cases it's just people being lazy bums. But the thing that is, I can see really pisses people off. So we're cutting this, but we're increasing spending on the military. And in our military, we spend more than the entire world combined. It's just crazy. And we spend money on Ukraine and our press's best little friends in the Middle East who are demanding we take Palestinians and demanding that we give them more money. This is just outrageous, right? We got to take care of our own first. And I'm okay thinking about Medicaid reform or food stamps. Believe me, I am. I don't like to see these welfare queens with all their brats and bringing in all this food for free. We got to have it reformed. But if you're going to do that, you need to go after other areas, like, for example, foreign aid and the military bloat. That is outrageous. So the food stamp thing, I think, could be an optics issue for Trump and the Republicans. So, guys, the top 5 stories. Number 1, Socialist Omar Fateh wins a Democrat endorsement over incumbent Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. So that was a big one. He'll probably be the next mayor. Number 2, the ADL just announced that almost half the world is intensely anti-Semitic to no fault of their own. Number 3, squatters are taking over homes in Illinois. And in some cases, the Representative Marcus Evans, who voted for that, thinking this is compassionate. Now he's complaining because it's happening in his backyard. Oh, no, we can't have this. Number 4, Afghans in Britain. That was a scandal. The British government was trying to hide it from the British people. They're spending billions of dollars. They're giving all these people first in line to get free homes, while British people are going into poverty. And it's not 40,000, it's them and all their brood. And they have a lot of kids, so that's about 200,000 are going to be flooding in. And number 5, there's been a lot of criticism of the food stamp cuts, mostly targeting men. Women, when they pop out kids, they will still get it. And but they're not cutting in other areas like foreign aid to Israel or Ukraine or the military. That could be an issue. So those are the top 5 stories for today. Again, if you like this program, like and subscribe, give it to your friends, and I will talk to you guys later.